you're thinking about being a lawyer, that's something that you kind of need to be prepared for. What's up, you guys? It's your girl Angela with The Aspiring Boss. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys 10 things that people don't tell you about being a lawyer before you become one. Honestly, this list can go on, so I might do a part 2. So the first thing that no one ever tells you is you're always on call. Always. I know one thing people say is like, lawyers work hard and you work a lot, but like, no, you're always on call. It's not a 9 to 5 job. A lot of people think of a lawyer as, a 9 to 5 professional corporate job. It's more than 9 to 5. As I get more senior in my career, I do understand the importance of establishing boundaries and work-life balance, but I will say that, just because you leave the office for the day, when you get home, you're likely gonna have to get back online, check your emails on weekends. You have to check your emails periodically on vacation. You have to check your emails periodically. Like, you're always on call. And that's one thing that I think is not as broadcasted for obvious reasons. But I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. We always on call. If you're thinking about being a lawyer, that's something that you kind of need to be prepared for. All right, this second one is such a big one. And it makes sense before you become a lawyer, but when you become a lawyer, you're like, really? But people will assume that you know everything about the law, right? People hear the word lawyer and they really think it's all encompassing. Like, so as you guys know, I am a transactional M&A attorney, right? I do mergers and acquisitions work. I will get calls from people about, somebody being in jail or somebody having an intellectual property issue or just all these types of things. I'm like, you guys, like, I wouldn't know how to do that more than you would. And I get it, right? People hear that you went to law school and they just like, oh, well, they know the law. One thing I think is important for non-lawyers to know is that the practice of law encompasses many things. There's so many different fields you can go down. And so that's one thing that people want to understand. So be prepared for when you become an attorney, you're going to be getting calls. And what I've learned, the best thing to do is just have a book of people that you can refer. So if someone calls me about a criminal lawyer, my best response is I don't do that, but I know someone who does. That's where keeping in touch with your law school colleagues and things like that come in handy. The next thing kind of piggybacks off this, but you will have your friends, your family members, your cousins, their cousins, everybody reaching out for legal advice. And this can be a kind of slippery slope. One, if you work for a firm, you can't just go willy-nilly, giving legal advice to people anyway. If they're not, you kind of have a responsibility to do the work through the firm. So that's a big one. And it can be really awkward when dealing with people because they think that, oh, you don't want to help me or whatever. And it's like, not that I don't want to help you. I kind of just can't. And then like I said, a lot of times, people want things that you can't do. So yeah, my close friends and family, I'm going to try to do as much as I can for them, but I'm very limited because I practice a certain type of law. And so there's going to be probably some awkward conversations and some awkward engagements from those people. You'll learn how to maneuver it. And again, like if you're a person like me, I want to help as many people as I can, but I have to be honest with them and myself of what my limitations are with respect to my job and what they allow me to do and the knowledge that I have on a particular area. All right, the third thing is law school does not prep you for the practice of law as you would think it would. Now, I'm not gonna say law school is pointless, right? I think it very much teaches you how to think. It teaches you a harder work ethic and things like that. But as far as my day-to-day practice, law school did not prepare me for that. Honestly, I think law school is just to weed out people who might not work hard or something like that. I don't know. I really don't understand why you need 4 years of undergrad and 3 years of law school, but that's another conversation for another day. Law school does not prepare you for the practice of law. And this is specifically with respect to transactional law. In law school, you read case law, you do briefs, you do all sorts of things. I don't do those things in my day-to-day practice. So for all you transactional lawyers out there, I would not let that deter you, but that's just one thing that you're gonna have to be ready for is there is a high learning curve, especially for us transactional lawyers, because law school just doesn't prepare you. Okay, the next thing is if you work at a law firm or own your own law firm, one thing to know is that being a lawyer is not just coming in and putting your head down and working hard. Being a lawyer is sort of administrative work as well, right? Marketing, you know, keeping in touch with your clients and talking to your clients, engaging with your clients, trying to get new clients, you know, business development. There's definitely an entrepreneurial business aspect to the practice of law. It's not just, you know, putting your head down and working and staying in your office. You know, there's a lot of moving and shaking, talking, going to events, and just getting out in the community. And I think that's something that's not widely preached until you actually get within the law firm. So for all of you guys out there now who are in law school or thinking about going to law school, these are things you want to start thinking about now rather than later. Okay, this next one is important. You will be juggling several matters or cases at one time. I say matters for the transactional people who do deals like myself, and cases for the litigators who go to court. You know, when you watch movies or TV, lawyers are like, you know, always working on this one case and, you know, trying to get this one case, you know, settled, and the whole premise and the whole point of the show is around this one case. Well, that's not real life. In real life, you have several cases or matters, and I'm talking more than 3. I'm talking like right now I probably got about 10 deals that I'm working on. You have multiple matters, multiple clients that you are servicing at one time, and that's kind of what makes the job so stressful, is you have many people needing your attention and your service, and only one of you, or, you know, a team of you. And so that's one thing to know that I think is not widely known by lay people, is that, yeah, you're going to be working on several cases or matters at one time. And the reason why I know that to be true, that a lot of people don't know, is like when summer associates come through, or first years, and you like give them a project or talking to them about a project, and they're like, oh, well, I'm already busy, I'm already working on one. It's like, no, boo, you got to work on more than one. Like, that's just the life now. You know, it's not just this one matter or case that you can focus on. You have a lot. So that's one thing that I think shocks a lot of people when they come into the law firm. All right, this next one is like the talk of the town with associates, right? But not so much before you get to law school or before you start at the law firm. But many firms have a billable hour requirement. And I recently talked about this on my latest vlog. And most law firms, especially when you're talking about the bigger law firms, have billable hour requirements. And it really depends on your region and your firm, but they usually range from about 1,700 to 2,200 hours that you must attain in order to, you know, meet the goal that the firm wants you to meet. And that goes into bonuses and comp raises and things like that. A lot of people don't talk about that, you know, before you get to law firm, but that's definitely a thing. And it's not as easy as it may sound, just because you have to realize that not all work is billable work. It has to be billable work that you can actually bill the client for. And so that's what makes it such a daunting thing. And to piggyback off that, not only is like attaining that time goal something that can just be like nerve-wracking, but doing your time is probably the most task of all. And the crazy thing, it's not hard, but it's just like that annoying task that you don't want to do. And it's like something I can't explain. For any of you guys who become attorneys and then work at a law firm, you will feel me. But basically you have to track, you know, what tasks you're doing and the amount of time you're doing, and that's how you know what to bill the client for. But when you're stressed out and you have 8 deals, you've been working a 12-hour day, the last thing you want to do is go track all of that time. And so there's lots of tips and tricks on how to keep track of your time efficiently and organized, which I could do a whole video on that, so I won't get into that. But yeah, it's just an annoying task that people don't talk about before you become a lawyer. But one caveat will say, although it's a pesky task, it's very important for the law firm. So you have to do it, and you should do it, and you should be good about it. And this is me preaching to myself. Okay, the next thing is responsiveness is everything, okay? The reason why I know that they don't teach this is because I remember not learning this before I became a lawyer. And now that I am, you know, a more senior associate and I work with more junior people, I realize that there's a huge learning curve with this. But responsiveness is everything. You need to be responsive to your internal clients and your external clients. And when I say internal clients, I just mean like the partners or shareholders that you work for or work with, and then your external clients, the actual companies and stuff that you're servicing. But being responsive is so important. I know, especially for you millennials or Gen Zers, it's like, it's 6 o'clock. You emailing me at 6 o'clock, I'll talk to you tomorrow. But people like for you to respond to emails. And honestly, I can confidently say that your firm expects you to. I know it's expected that I at least respond. Even if like there's a request that you can't necessarily get to right now, or an answer that you would have to do research on before you can respond like what they want. responding and letting them know that you got it and you're on it and you will get to it, and maybe even giving them a timeline to when you'll get to it is important and it's expected. I know like sometimes working with, you know, first years, like you'll send them a message and then you don't hear from them and they're like, oh, well, I hadn't got to it yet, or I wasn't able to get to it, so I was waiting until I can get to it to respond. And it's like, nope, I need to know that you got the message and that it's on your radar. And so that's a big thing that I think people don't realize is such a big deal until they become an attorney. The next one is every day is a new challenge. Now this is a good thing, right? Because you're always learning, but it can also be a stressful thing because it's like you can never get comfortable with being comfortable in your position because there's always some new issue or some tweak to an issue that you've seen before, or just something different that comes up. There's always an issue, and really that's why we're here. That's why lawyers are so important, right? Because we solve problems and, you know, address issues and come up with mechanisms to avoid issues. And so every day is a new challenge, like I said, and y'all, it can be very stressful. It can give you anxiety. I still struggle with like turning my brain off and being able to compartmentalize and not getting too anxious or worried about, you know, the new challenge that you face for the day or that you'll face tomorrow. But yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah, just keeping it real with y'all. The last one is connections and relationships matter. If you don't have, you know, many connections in the legal community, or you haven't really been building relationships with your fellow law students and lawyers that you know, it's definitely something you should be working on. And you can do this of many ways, right? Some people are just privileged in the sense that, you know, their parents are lawyers, or they have a bunch of lawyers in their family, or they know a bunch of lawyers. So a lot of people with businesses who can give them work, you know, who can be their clients, and, you know, just well-established roots in the city that they work in. For someone like me moving to Kansas City or even in Houston, like I wasn't from either of those places, right? So I didn't have any connections, right? I didn't really know any other lawyers. I do have some business owners in my family, but none that I could like bring in as a client at this point. And so there are ways to get around that, even if you're not kind of like born into connections. And that's just being involved in the community, joining bar organizations. And as law students, you guys can start then rather than wait till you're an attorney. You will make so many connections. This is something that I still strive to work on, just because I'm not the most outgoing person when it comes to like my profession. Like, see me in the club, in a bar, I'm outgoing all day. I'll talk to people, I'll chat with people. But when it comes to like a professional environment, I'm a lot more reserved. And so it's something that I continuously work on. But yeah, just getting involved in the community and meeting people and being able to, you know, introduce yourself and tell a little bit about what you do. One piece of advice that I got is that we should all have like an elevator speech when you meet people, because you just never know what it will turn to. And I'm not saying like run after people like, oh, you might be my client one day, but just focus on building genuine connections and relationships with people, and you'll be surprised. Potential clients or connections, people that can introduce you to people that can give you insight on things. The bottom line is that relationships are everything in this profession, and I feel like that's how some people get lost, because they don't really have the relationships and the connections. And I think that's something that should be taught more in law school, or at least like highlighted more in law school about how important that is, because it's not. And then you come to the law firm and you realize it. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Like I said, there's a whole list of things, so I might even do a part 2 or part 3 on this. But I wanted to give you guys some insight on some things about being an attorney that I think that a lot of people don't touch on or talk about, and then you get in a law firm and then you see for yourself. So yeah, giving y'all a little insight before y'all get here on what it's like to be a lawyer. And one thing that I want to say is that, you know, some of those things that I said sounded kind of daunting or maybe not the most positive, but I will say overall I really do like the work that I do, and I don't regret being an attorney. Now there are some things that I might have done differently, which again, whole nother video, but overall I really like the field that I'm in and the work that I do. And so don't let anything that I said discourage you. Okay, so since I gave y'all a little insight, a little tea on what it's like to be an attorney, go ahead and do your girl a solid and hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh yeah, let me know if there's any law related topics that you guys want to see. DM me on Instagram at _theaspiringboss, or comment down below and I'll be sure to, you know, address it in a video. All right, you guys, until next time, bye bye.